Have you ever noticed that sometimes the things we pray for finally happen, and instead of feeling happy, we panic? Girl, nobody talks enough about that. We talk about wanting a new season, wanting growth, wanting better friendships, wanting healing, wanting a different life. We say, God, please change my situation, or I just want something new. Then suddenly life starts moving. People leave. Things end. Plans shift. You start feeling disconnected from places that once felt like home. And now you're sitting there thinking, wait, why does this feel terrible? Because change does not always arrive looking exciting. Sometimes it arrives looking like confusion. Sometimes it looks like loneliness. Sometimes it looks like delays. Sometimes it looks like watching parts of your life slowly fall apart while you're trying to convince yourself that maybe everything is okay. And that part is scary. Because we usually imagine change looking beautiful. We imagine soft music playing in the background while life magically aligns itself. But real life sometimes looks like crying in your womb because things feel unfamiliar. Real life looks like sitting in silence, wondering if you're growing or if you're failing. Girl, be honest with yourself. How many times have you thought, maybe I was better before? Not because you actually were, but because familiar things feel safe. I think that's the part that gets us. Sometimes we're not scared of change itself. We're scared of losing familiarity. We're scared of losing the things that helped us survive. Because even painful things can become familiar. Even chaos can become familiar. Even struggling can become familiar. And human beings naturally hold on to things they understand, even when those things no longer fit. I remember hearing people talk about your 20s and 30s like they were these exciting years where you magically discover yourself. And I used to think, oh wow, that's going to be fun. Then you enter it. And suddenly you're like, wait, nobody told me I would become multiple different versions of myself. Nobody told me friendships would change. Nobody told me some people I loved deeply would slowly become distant. Nobody told me my priorities would change. Nobody told me my dreams would change. Nobody told me I would wake up one day and realize I don't even want some of the things I spent years chasing. Nobody told me I would look at myself and think, who even am I becoming? Because your 20s and 30s can feel like constant identity shifts.
One year, you're obsessed with something. The next year, you don't even recognize that version of you anymore. And sometimes, that can make you feel guilty. You start thinking you're inconsistent. You start thinking maybe you don't know what you want. But girl, you are not supposed to stay exactly the same forever. You are not meant to have the same energy forever, the same desires forever, the same interests forever. You are living. You are experiencing things. You are learning. You are changing. And changing is not betrayal. I think one of the hardest things is realizing you've outgrown certain people. Because nobody tells you how painful that part feels. People make it seem cold, like you suddenly stop caring, like you suddenly stop loving them. But sometimes you can love people deeply and still realize you're growing in different directions. Sometimes you can miss people and still know going back isn't healthy. Sometimes you can miss old friendships, miss old routines, miss old versions of your life, and still know in your heart that you shouldn't go back. And that hurts, because grief isn't only about losing people. Sometimes grief is losing versions of yourself. Sometimes grief is losing a life you were used to. Sometimes grief is waking up and realizing you're standing between who you were and who you're becoming. Girl, there are people right now mourning old versions of themselves while trying to become someone new. And maybe that's you too. Maybe you're missing the old you, the happier you, the more carefree you, the version of you that laughed easier, the version of you that felt certain, the version that didn't overthink every decision. But maybe you're not supposed to go back to her. Maybe you're supposed to carry what she taught you and keep moving. Because the version of you that got you through one season may not be the version that carries you into the next. And that doesn't mean she failed.
She did her job. She got you here.
Girl, listen. Some changes are chosen. Some are forced on us. Some of us willingly walked away. Some of us had life force things out of our hands. And honestly, forced change can feel brutal. Because at least when we choose, we feel in control. But when life chooses for us, we feel lost. We feel angry. We ask questions. We sit there saying, why is this happening? Why now? Why me? And sometimes there isn't an immediate answer. Sometimes all you have is the next step, not the whole staircase, just the next step. I think that's why staying where we've outgrown can become more painful than moving forward, because eventually your spirit starts feeling cramped. You start feeling restless. You start feeling uncomfortable in places that used to fit perfectly, and you keep trying to force yourself to stay because staying feels safer. But safe doesn't always mean right. Not every closed door is punishment. Not every ending means something terrible happened. Sometimes endings are making space. Sometimes change is simply becoming more of who you already are. Not a completely different person, just more honest, more healed. And maybe that's why the beginning feels like the scariest part, because the beginning is messy. People celebrate outcomes. Nobody really celebrates uncomfortable transitions. Nobody posts videos of themselves sitting on the floor wondering what they are doing with their life. Nobody posts themselves crying because they feel stuck between who they were and who they are becoming. But that's where so many of us actually are, in the middle, in the confusing part, in the part where nothing around us looks different yet, but internally everything is changing. And maybe one day you look back and realize something. The season that terrified you was actually the season that quietly introduced you to yourself.
So, my darlings, tell me, which part felt like it was talking directly to you? Come meet me in the comments. I genuinely love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share this with another girl who might need it, and subscribe so you don't miss our next chat.